Good morning, everyone. This is Alyssa, she, her pronouns. I'm the Presence Collective coordinator and Caverly Morgan's assistant. I'm saying hello from Portland, Oregon. It's gloomy over here. Caverly Morgan, for those of you who are new, she is the founder of Presence Collective, which is a community of diverse teachers and practitioners from diverse wisdom traditions. And we are dedicated to collective liberation and to social justice. She's also the founder of Peace in Schools, which created the nation's first 4-credit mindfulness course in public high schools. She will be leading us today through a guided 30-minute meditation, and we'll have time at the end for a Q&A. If at that time you have a question, you can do an Ask a Question button below to type in your question, or you can use the chat box to request to come on screen and be face-to-face with Caverly. Before I invite her on screen, I just have a few announcements. First, thank you to Sangha Live, this platform that is hosting us right now. They are run through donations from all of you, so if you have the means, donations are greatly appreciated. You can use the green button below that says Donations Donna, and your donations go to supporting Sangha Live, the tech, the platform, the teachers. So thank you for that. And a couple announcements on behalf of Presence Collective. First, I want to talk about our webinars. We do webinars every Thursday, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And these webinars are different topics every week and are hosted by different teachers. So next week we have Dr. Sarah King, and she is bringing her friend Rashid Hughes, who runs a community called Heart Refuge in DC. And the week after will be run by Michelle Johnson. Both Dr. Sarah King and Michelle Johnson are Black women who I've personally learned from, and I adore them. They are great people, and they're doing great work in the world. So I will be including that link in the chat box after this. And then my last announcement is just a plug for our summer retreat. Our summer retreat is going to be run by 4 people from the collective, so Caverly, David, Suniti, and Latifa. They all come from different traditions. We have Shambhala tradition, we have Sufism, movement, Zen, non-dualism, and they each bring their own flavor to the retreat. So it's going to be a rich experience. This retreat is going to be online, and it's going to accommodate different time zones, and it's going to be about finding retreat in your own space. I'm going to bring Caverly on now.
Thank you, Alyssa. Thank you so much. I don't know what's in the air in Portland this morning, Alyssa, but I heard you like clearing your voice before you went live. And right before you put me on, I'm like, so anyway, we'll see how it goes. Something's flying around Portland, I guess.
Allergies.
It's what?
Allergies, I think.
Maybe. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, see you soon. All right, friends, I'm really glad you get to meet Alyssa. As she mentioned, she's well, she didn't underline what an important role she's playing as we build out the vision of Presence Collective, and I'm really glad to have her collaboration with it. So, friends, as usual, thank you for saying hello in the sidebar, and yeah, John and Nancy, thanks for your acknowledgement of yesterday's meditation and Sarah's participation in it. I've really been sitting with the ripple effects of that meditation. And thank you, Ellen, for prompting the theme of collective healing, which came out of your share on Wednesday night. I'm very grateful to be in community with you, in practice community with you. And for those who are just joining, if you missed yesterday's meditation, it really was not just the meditation, but the exchange with Sarah after it. I've gotten some notes from folks that it was healing for many people, not just Sarah. So I would love to direct you to yesterday's meditation, which, knowing Sangha Live, is probably already up on their website. Joyce and I decided on the name Collective Healing for that meditation. So hello from Portugal, and Ellen, thank you for saying meaningful. And then Sarah, hello, And I was going to say good morning, but for you in the UK, good evening. I'm glad to hear from you today. Hello, John from California. And Spencer, allergies in Olympia too. All right, we're together. Friends, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hi, Verge. We shall sit together today as mentioned for half an hour, as usual. Today, yesterday, I came in with an intention around wanting to share alternate nostril breathing as a practice, wanting to focus on collective healing. So I was bringing something in. Sometimes, for those who are not new, sometimes I come in with a poem, sometimes I come in with a theme, sometimes I come in with some feedback from a participant that I want to be sure to address. Today I come in empty and open, so let's allow today to emerge, to unfold based on what's alive for you. So please tell me in the sidebar. Let's hear today not just what are you present to, but name one place that you're working with in practice. For example, working with accessing patience, or working with remembering true nature in daily life, or working with disidentifying from the mind of scarcity and not enough. Those are just some examples. Working with might not be the best phrase for you. It does imply quite a bit of efforting. Brett, recollecting. What else are you practicing with? Noticing, being with, bringing loving attention to, listening. Evelyn, acceptance, not resisting, unhooking. Jane, surrendering self-judgment. Christine, being open to what wants to change in how I show up for my community. Lovely. Verge, working with staying present in daily life and not going on autopilot. Yes. Elaine, working to heal from past pain and rediscovering my true self. Sandy, releasing holding grudges. Richard, having visions, plans, and surrendering to what is. Yes, that combination. Spencer, noticing to extent of attachment to ego, to believing it's real. Sharon, embodiment. Erica, working with staying connected to myself when people express fears about the future. Yeah, releasing resentment. Oh, Jim, you just finished reading The Unborn. Please talk about your takeaways from it. Lovely. Yes. Bankei, I could talk about Bankei forever. Kiki, good morning. Hi from Granada. Embodying my femininity, not trying to emulate the masculine style. Good. Okay, Deborah, overcoming woundedness. Friends, thank you. Thank you so much. Lovely. Much richness there. Let's sit. Lovely. And Jim, in terms of my takeaways. If you're up for coming on screen after the meditation, let's do that. Let's have an exchange. There's so much I could say about that. I'm interested to know what places struck you. And I think, Jim, you're the same one that said hello from Charlottesville. So yes, hello from my hometown. Okay. Thank you for being here, friends. Gonna allow this garbage truck to pass. Begin this meditation by allowing the mind to sink into the heart. This isn't a prompt visualization about organs, not sinking the brain into the organ of the heart, although that could be an interesting softening practice. This is about sinking the mind and the activity of the mind, the conditioned activity of the mind, into the heart of awareness. The heart of awareness is also known as, or I could speak about it as, the heart of consciousness, pure consciousness. This expanse, this infinite expanse of pure consciousness is what Zen Master Bankei referred to when he spoke of the unborn mind. when we identify with conditioned thoughts. We experience ourselves as a small, limited, finite self that's having those conditioned thoughts, that those conditioned thoughts belong to the finite self. From the perspective of a separate self. So I'm having these thoughts. I believe these things. I like this. I don't like this. I want this. I don't want this. Consciousness, or the unborn mind, doesn't take the same ownership of thoughts, doesn't grab onto them, doesn't form identity around them based on them. In the same way that the open sky doesn't form identity around weather patterns. This open expanse is colorless, formless, unborn and undying. Some words I heard a few times from you, from the community: releasing, surrendering, letting go. Give your attention now to the experience of surrendering. Whatever is arising to this open, infinite field of awareness. Imagine for a moment the illusion of a self that is separate from life, clinging to thoughts, creating identity based on those beliefs and assumptions that are embodied within thought forms. As Yevlin said, unhook. And then we're taking it a step farther today, not only unhook, but surrender. Surrender these arising thoughts, perceptions, beliefs, assumptions, emotions, constrictions in the body. Surrender all of it. To the unconditionally accepting altar of pure consciousness. The unconditionally welcoming altar of awareness. That says yes to whatever is brought to it. The altar of awareness that clings to nothing, and rejects nothing. The unborn mind that is untarnished by negative thoughts, the inner critic, attachment to the ego, even pain. Even pain or discomfort can be surrendered to this altar. And though this altar of pure consciousness is indeed colorless and empty, inherently empty, just to bring in what was named about femininity before the meditation began. It could be described as having feminine qualities. Notice, for example, that a byproduct of resting in that which doesn't reject anything and doesn't cling. A byproduct is feeling nourished. Or perhaps able to fully let go the way a child lets go in its mother's arms. Or feels seen and valued in its mother's embrace. Rest in this embrace of conscious, compassionate awareness. Rest in this openness. Surrendering whatever arises. To the unborn, to the infinitely loving, allowing field of awareness that is. Friends, thank you. Now is my opportunity, my time to remind you to please donate if you can. So the green button below me, if you're new, is the way to do it. And for those of you who show up regularly, you know that you've heard many times, we simply can't maintain this platform without your support. So thank you for supporting as you're able. Thank you, Alyssa, for posting that summer retreat link. I'm quite looking forward to collaborating with Suniti and David Perrin. I've known for over 20 years, and he's deeply trained in the Shambhala tradition. And then my dear friend Latifa, who is from Charlottesville. And Latifa is a Sufi teacher. I've actually known her for over 20 years as well. So it's going to be an incredibly rich collaboration. I've taught with Suniti many times, and the embodied movement that she brings into retreat, combined with her deep history with her own Buddhist practice and teaching, is profound. She's always a beloved part of retreat offerings, in my experience. So thank you. And I should acknowledge, I'm hoping that retreat schedule might work for many of the Europeans on the call. Because Latifa and David are both on East Coast time, and then Suniti and I are on West Coast time, really hoping that we succeeded in creating a schedule that will work for most. So we'll see. Friends, what would you like to discuss this morning? Jim, would you be interested in coming on? Or anyone else, if you'd like to come on screen, please simply write in the sidebar that you'd like to come on, and Alyssa will bring you on. It'd be lovely to see you. What are you noticing about this experience of surrendering to the altar of awareness? Sandy, not being so entrenched in the pettiness of the conditioned mind. Yes, Sandy, I think that's a really good way to talk about much of the activity of the conditioned mind. When we're in it, it doesn't feel petty. I like to talk about how when I'm identified with the conditioned mind, it all feels real and true. But Sandy, your point is well taken, that when you're able to step back and disidentify, you can acknowledge, you can see that there's a pettiness to often what's fueling that activity of the conditioned mind. Sharon, you're requesting the book to be mentioned again. It's The Unborn, and it's by Zen Master Bankei. Ellen, it feels like cultivating a garden. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, the word cultivating really stands out there. What does it mean to cultivate the heart of awareness? Awareness doesn't actually need cultivation. It's not changed by, it can't be enhanced or tarnished by our activity, the activity of a separate self, but we can cultivate our capacity of remembrance, our capacity to return Kiki, surrendering feels like a relief. I feel expansive and more relaxed. Yes, in my experience, it's relieving to be, Rupert Spira talks about being divested of the objects that we're normally attached to or focused on. Yeah, Sharon, Sharon, would you be up for coming on screen today? You're asking if I can talk about disidentifying with physical pain and other intense sensations, or for you, severe anxiety. You're working on remaining embodied, yet trying to tolerate such uncomfortable sensations. And Christine says, yes, thank you, Sharon, me too. Yes, and Ellen, not working cultivation, just sitting cultivates. Sharon, lovely. Yes, Ellen, I'm with you. And Sharon, lovely. I'm glad you'd like to come on. So, Alyssa, if we could get Sharon on screen, that'd be lovely. We can have a little exchange. And Yevlin, it's like letting go to something bigger and broader. Absolutely, Yevlin. That's, I think, another great way to describe it. When we're identified with the illusion of a self that is separate from life, the last thing we feel is broad or open or infinite. So thank you for writing that. Sharon, hello. I'm assuming you're in Houston, Texas, right?
I'm in Houston. I wish I was in San Diego, but I am in Houston.
Well,
where COVID is having a resurgence, and my anxiety is also having a resurgence.
Nice to just acknowledge and see that those things are hand in hand. Yeah. So yes, Sharon, say more about like what you're noticing around the anxiety.
I get such intense physical sensations in my, I mean, it's tension, but there's also more than that. There's a lot of energy moving, and it's so intensely uncomfortable. And I'm very aware and identified with these sensations. But yeah, I just sit there being identified with them.
Yes. So number one, helpful that you can, I'm glad you have the practice that you do so that you can say, this is identification, that I can see that I'm identified with this story or this narrative, or we've talked about this a little bit before, Sharon, but sensations on their own are simply sensations on their own. It's what the conditioned mind makes the sensation mean. That
bad, uncomfortable, painful.
That this is anxiety, number one, and then that anxiety means ... right? So what did you notice? What was alive for you around this image today of surrendering experience? What did it feel? Was the anxiety up for you in today's meditation? Did it feel like you could surrender that experience to this altar of consciousness, or did that feel hard to access?
It was extremely difficult today. Some days it is a little bit easier, but as you know, the anxiety and just the overwhelm is the most difficult for me.
Yes, I do understand that. Thank you for just acknowledging that, just letting yourself recognize, okay, this is the place where I get most hooked. I get most hooked when stories that are related to fear get whipped up. Sharon, we've talked about this a little bit before as well, but do you have a sense of what part of you comes into being or arises when these stories of fear and anxiety get so strong?
There's a couple of different things that kind of arise when you say that. I think there's some fear, especially as I get older, of just physically dying.
Yeah.
But there's also a fear of being bad, a fear of being wrong, a fear of not being a good person. I mean, there's just so many things.
Layers of fear. It sounds like the fear arises and then just looks for the closest thing to latch onto. It could be fear of dying. It could be fear of losing your beloved pet. It could be fear of your getting COVID. You can see how the process is fear, and then the content changes.
I did the chart, and I'm trying to look if I ever even came up with something on a little deeper level than that.
Well, that, for the purposes of what I'd like to look at today, Sharon, that's perfect. That's plenty to work with. What I wanted to know next is, how old would you say that part of you is when you're identified? Really go there right now if you can. Just pause and go to that experience of anxiety.
I would guess 7 or 8, 6 or 7, 5 or 6. There,
Yeah.
I'm not sure about where that puts me. Like, definitely before school.
Yeah, young, before you've gone to school.
Yeah.
So go there now, if you would. Just go to the experience of feeling that. What kinds of things is she hearing? What self-talk is up?
Right now, it's an awful lot about making mistakes, being bad.
You're bad. You need to be careful. Nothing creates fear like the loud voice of, you have to be careful. So you need to be careful. There's a problem. You could make a mistake. Okay. So go there again and just hear that voice, hear the voice of the judge, the critic. And then, Sharon, in this moment, look to see, what do I need to know or hear? As allow yourself to be her. What arises?
Well, I'm a lot of stories. I have this long time story that this is, my dad's voice.
Yeah.
And, I guess the feeling that I'm fundamentally not okay. I want to know that I'm fundamentally okay.
Yes. That is simply a message you took in from your dad. But, there is no real 5 or 6, 7, 8-year-old in there, but it's such a wonderful way to give form to a felt experience. So feel that she needs to hear and know that she's okay, that there's nothing wrong. Do that by offering that part of you reassurance. Actually, in your mind's eye, say those things to her. Don't worry about it if you hear a story about this feels forced or feigned or fake, or just say, yep, it does. Okay. And what kinds of things do you feel yourself saying to her?
You are okay, just as you are. You are so lovable. I love you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little new for me.
It's a little new for many of us to turn and offer this fractured experience within that kind of unconditional love. But that's actually just another way, another form that we can use, another contemplative tool that is a way to access the same thing as surrendering experience to unconditioned awareness. So if you're noticing all this anxiety arise and it's not feeling accessible to surrender experience to the altar of pure consciousness, come back to this tool, this practice of looking to see who is here, who is up, what part of me is here, what is she hearing, what self-talk is she hearing, how old is she, what does she need. Really go, as you did, go into it and see, what do I need to hear, what do I need to know. And then as you go in, yeah.
I was just going to say, it's really interesting that and it kind of came to me what I needed to hear, and you were saying, to tell me that, and I did, and I didn't have to believe it. I just had to say it.
Yes.
And it mattered.
It does, doesn't it? What matters actually, Sharon, is that we become that which can offer these unconditional reassurances. What matters is that we can feel ourselves make this shift such that we know ourselves as that which could say, I see you, I'm with you, I have no confusion that you are that anxiety. Allow me to hold you. So Sharon, my encouragement would be spend a very concentrated amount of time. I would say maybe 1 week, just 1 week. And then let's check back in 1 week where this is your practice. With everything that you see arising, watch it arise. Anything that you can feel has this suffering, this tinge of suffering, or this everything that's arising on behalf of the illusion of a self that's separate from life. As it arises, feel yourself go through this process that we went through, and let it be much more drawn out. Today we're really compressing it just because of the nature of the call, but it might take time. Let yourself sit and be with your experience. You can journal about, like, what is my experience when I'm identified with this 5-year-old. Let her talk. Let her write. Get to know her. And then make that shift. Allow yourself to be that which tells her what she needs to hear, finds out, sees what she needs to hear and know, can respond, can offer. And if you get identified with someone that's like, oh, this isn't working, I don't even know why I'm trying this, find out, how old is she? What does she need? What does she need to know?
Okay. Gosh, I hope this was helpful for at least even one other person. I always feel a little different than everybody else because of my mental illness. And that's just another story.
Yeah, thank you for just naming that voice, Sharon. I can assure you that this isn't about one specific strain of what gets labeled as mental illness. Every conditioned human being has anxiety. Every conditioned human being has fear.
Yeah.
This is an experience that we don't have to take personally. This is a human experience. So Sarah writes in, I used to have a lot of anxiety and panic and was agoraphobic for several years. It's such a difficult experience. Being sky consciousness and observing the anxiety has been very helpful. And Christine writes that she loves the idea of the unborn, the ocean analogy that we've been working with. And then Joyce, it just, yeah, helpful. Yeah. So read Jem's comment as well as we log off, Sharon, and then just do for 1 week focus on this so that you can feel and experience what happens when it becomes a consistent place of practice, something that you can rely on, like a default setting.
Okay.
Sharon, thank you. Thanks so much for your willingness.
Thank you, Caverly.
See you next time.
Okay.
All right, friends, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your practice. I hope you have a lovely weekend. As I mentioned, if you missed yesterday's call and during the weekend you'd like to check out that healing meditation that we did together, please feel free to check that out. And yes, Ellen, anxiety is human. I've been working through similar issues. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Kiki. Yes. Have a great weekend and see you Monday.